My name is Michelle Barnett, and I'm the president of the Jacksonville Bar Association. I'm happy to welcome everyone here to this presentation on behalf of the Jacksonville Bar Association, on behalf of the Coalition, and in celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month. It's my pleasure today to introduce a fellow Colombiana, Judge Tatiana Salvador, who I think you all will really enjoy hearing from. Judge Salvador has an incredible background and a wonderful path to the bench, and she is certainly a Latina that I am very proud of. And I look forward to interviewing her and having all of us learn more about her path to the bench and her background. Good afternoon, Judge Salvador.
Hi, Michelle. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us. First question for you is, can you tell us a little bit about how you came to be a circuit court judge in Duval County? Were you elected? Were you appointed? Tell us a little bit about your path.
Sure. So I was appointed to the bench by Governor Scott in late 2012 and took the bench in January of 2013. And that appointment came about because one of my former colleagues had retired, thereby giving the governor the opportunity to make that gubernatorial appointment. And it's a process that is long and cumbersome, from completing a very detailed and lengthy application to then being interviewed by the Judicial Nominating Commission, and fortunately being one of those on the short list whose names were forwarded to the governor. And after that, of course, the governor's office also interviews and vets you. And then if you are lucky enough, as I was, you get that phone call from the governor and get the great news. And I will say everyone who's been appointed knows exactly where they were, what time, what day, what was happening the day they got that call, and me included.
So tell us, Judge Salvador, where were you?
So I was laying in my dentist chair, having my routine teeth cleaning with wires and water spraying everywhere when my cell phone rang, and I jolted up out of the seat to get the lucky call that I'd been waiting on, that I'd gotten the appointment.
So for most people, going to the dentist isn't the most pleasant thing, but I suspect for you, it brings back good memories. Is that right?
It was a great experience at the dentist for me, so much so that at my investiture some months later, my dentist was one of my special guests.
Judge Salvador, I think we're having a little bit of background noise, so I just adjusted it. Hopefully we won't have that again. But tell us, what was your upbringing like? I've already told everyone that you're Colombian. Tell us about your upbringing. Where did you grow up? What is your family background?
Well, my parents are from Colombia. I am, however, first generation American. I was born in the United States, but I grew up spending every summer of my life from the time I was an infant well into my teens, visiting with all of my extended family in Barranquilla, Cartagena, Valledupar, and Santa Marta. And even though I was raised in this country, I had a very traditional Hispanic household, with my parents, living with my sister, and with my abuela, who lived with us. In addition to the traditional elements of Hispanic culture, the Spanish language, the food, the music, of course, we also had and were taught the focus on and loyalty to family, the respect for our elders and our parents, and of course, an emphasis on education and hard work.
And I will tell you all, I've known Judge Salvador's family for a very long time, and they're a beautiful family and certainly one to be proud of. And I know they are very proud of her accomplishments. They say you reap what you sow, and certainly she's got beautiful parents and a beautiful family, and I'm sure they are proudly watching. So congrats to you all. It is an inspiration to those of us who have seen her career path.
Thank you.
Tell us, Judge Salvador, what perspective has your particular upbringing brought to you to the bench?
Well, I'll tell you, it was, again, going back to my parents and the decisions that they made in life that then impacted me in my upbringing, that have lent me, I think, a unique and diverse perspective that we don't often find on the bench these days. But let me just back up by explaining that they emigrated here, again, from Barranquilla, Colombia in 1967 to this country where they had no family and few friends. And my mother came to this country not speaking a word of English, but she immediately went to work at the local hospital, cleaning dirty surgical equipment And my dad became a physician and worked long and hard to provide for his family. And it was this courage and moving to this new land and leaving their home country that really inspires me and motivates me every single day. And it was this courage and the decision that they made that has given me a life much easier and with less challenges than I'm sure that they have faced, and a perspective that I think lends itself very well for the bench. For instance, I know they've instilled in me a greater appreciation for those freedoms and liberties that we often take for granted in this country. You know, for democracy, for fairness and equality and justice and the rule of law. And so, you know, even though my father was a Colombian national, he served honorably in the United States military, and my parents became US citizens. And they have projected and instilled and inculcated in me and my sister those ideals and that perspective that now dictates the work that I do.
Beautiful. Judge Salvador, I want to turn your attention a little bit to the importance of cultural diversity on the bench. What is your view on how important it is to have representation in the bench that mirrors the general population?
Well, yes, I think it's very important to have a diverse bench for several reasons. First, of course, is that having a diverse bench, one that reflects and mirrors our community, lends some additional credibility and perhaps legitimacy to the decisions and the opinions that come from the court. Look, right or wrong, when people see the judges before them making these important decisions and see that they look like them and are like them, then folks are more accepting and understanding of the court's decisions, and even more so, the court's role in our system of government. Separate and apart from that too, I believe that having a diverse bench just enriches the bench, enriches the legal community, and it overall enriches the community, because a diverse bench and the judges, culturally diverse judges, provide a different perspective and contribute different life experiences that can impact the people with which they interact. For example, my Hispanic background and experience provides me different perspectives than some of my colleagues on the bench. You know, as a teen, as I mentioned, I went to Columbia often. And as a young adult being in Columbia, I experienced firsthand at that time, perhaps some of the unfair practices of the local government. We would be, you know, driving in a car with my cousins. We would be stopped by the police without reasonable suspicion or probable cause. And we would be asked to exit the car so that the car and we could be searched. Moreover, in 2002, my family experienced the ultimate in chaos and lawlessness when my uncle was murdered by Colombian guerrilla forces trying to kidnap him for ransom. And so it's these experiences that have instilled in me a greater appreciation, again, for our democratic system of governance. And it's these experiences that have embedded within me a deep and abiding conviction and belief that our country, that all countries should be governed by the rule of law and by a country that plays by the rules. And so not everyone would have those perspectives and experiences, but that's what at least one Hispanic judge brings to the bench.
Judge Salvador, there's been a push in recent years to have a more diverse bench. And do you believe that we've gotten better at that in Duval County?
Well, listen, we have a wonderful bench here in the Fourth Circuit. It is comprised of dedicated public servants who work hard to do the right thing. But our bench is not proportionally representative of the minority groups in Duval County. I mean, for example, again, I am the sole Hispanic circuit court judge in Clay, Duval, and Nassau County. We have one other judge, Roberto Arias, who is the sole county court judge in either Clay, Duval, or Nassau County. And that's despite the fact that we have a higher percentage of Hispanics now in our Northeast Florida population. However, this is not a problem that is going to be fixed overnight, because you can't have a culturally or racially diverse bench if you don't have a culturally or racially diverse legal community, attorneys entering into the profession that are culturally and racially diverse. So certainly, if we want a more diverse bench, we have to be sure that our profession is just as diverse.
Judge Salvador, thank you. We're going to move forward to what motivated you to change paths from being a practicing attorney and moving to the bench. And I'm wondering what motivated you to do that, and when did you decide that you wanted to be a judge?
Well, I'll tell you, I thoroughly enjoyed my time as a prosecutor here in the Fourth Circuit, and then as a private practitioner before becoming a judge. But what compelled me to change paths and seek elevation to the bench was my desire to serve the public on a greater scale, on a wider capacity. You know, as an assistant state attorney, I was able to serve the community by prosecuting those folks who violated our laws and by protecting and promoting victims' rights. As a civil practitioner, I was able to provide clients, private clients, with solutions to their legal problems. And I accepted pro bono cases, again, in an effort to give back to my community. But as a circuit court judge, I felt that I could serve the public on a wider scale, because being on the court provides yet another platform for service. And so but it was this call to service that motivated me to change paths. It was this call to service that motivates me today, but this was not a call to service that happened overnight. I prepared long and hard for this position. You cannot, if you are interested in becoming a judge, decide today that you want to be a judge tomorrow. So I worked hard, beginning with my first job as an assistant state attorney, to gain the experience and the knowledge and the contacts and connections that are necessary to get to this position. Look, if you are seeking to be a judge either through election or appointment, you need to have that networking, those folks who will support you and mentor you along the way, those contacts and connections that will help you either run an effective campaign or obtain that gubernatorial appointment. And I began this process many, many years ago in an effort to get to where I am today and to have what I believe is the best job in the world. It has been my duty and my honor to serve as a judge in the circuit and to give not only this community, but the state back, which has given me and my family so much.
Well, they say that people who generally love their jobs love them because they're good at them. And I can assure you that been very proud to see your service, and certainly the feedback from the legal community and from people who have appeared before you is very positive. I'm always very proud to hear that, Judge Salvador. What was it like being a Hispanic judge when you first started out in Duval County? You mentioned that you were the first, or that you're the only, and I believe the first circuit court Hispanic judge in Duval County. What was that like, and what were some things that you were maybe caught off guard when you arrived at the bench?
Yes, well, I'll be honest. I didn't think about it as being a Hispanic judge when I first started out, but rather I just thought about it as being a judge. I mean, I was so excited to start this journey and to do this job and to learn everything that I could. But I'll tell you, in short order, I did notice that I was being asked to be interviewed for our local Hispanic newspaper, to be featured in our local Hispanic magazine. The local Hispanic law group from our law school invited me to speak, and I was being honored by different Hispanic organizations and asked to be a member of different boards and organizations because of my Hispanic background. And I didn't appreciate at first how important it was for others to see someone like me, or someone like them actually, elevated to this position. And so it was incredibly humbling to be placed in this position whereby I could, in a sense, be representing the culture. That kind of caught me off guard. But I have certainly learned to be mindful of this role now. and to understand my role, not only within the judiciary, but within the community as a Latina judge.
So I have shared with Judge Salvador that I served on the JNC when she came through, and her application was simply outstanding. And I remember sitting there thinking, as I was hearing all of the deliberations, hearing my parents' voice saying, "Que berraquera," to see her application, to see her interviewing so well, and to be such a standout among applicants. And we really have such few Hispanic lawyers in Duval County and Nassau and Clay. And so the number of Hispanic applicants that would come through were low. And Judge Salvador's selection certainly was not because she was Hispanic, it's because she was incredibly qualified and a standout among applicants. And the fact that she is Hispanic has certainly made a lot of us very proud. And so.
Thank you.
Judge Salvador, what, if anything, has changed with respect to being a Hispanic judge since you joined the bench?
Well, I'll tell you, not much. Again, as I mentioned, I'm still very mindful of the role that I play within the judiciary and within the community. I try to do the best job that I can for my community and to make them proud. And that includes not only for the Hispanic community, but for the community in the broader sense. I certainly encourage and would like more representation, both in the legal community among the attorneys and of course on the bench. Because again, as I said, having a diverse bench does nothing but add benefits to our system of justice and to our community at large.
Judge Salvador, not everyone's path to the bench is the same, but most, if not all, judges are well-rounded, dedicated, and hard workers. What are other qualities that you believe are important for judges to have?
Well, certainly there are lots of qualities necessary to do this job well and to be an effective jurist. Obviously, knowledge of the law, patience, humility, a proper demeanor, of course, but I would list two others that I think are critical. And one is a dedication to lifelong learning. You know, we have to realize that just because you attain the position of judge does not mean that the learning stops or that we know everything, because I'll tell you, we don't. But certainly, it is incumbent on judges to be up to date and open to continuing education and to learning and to be informed and keep abreast not only of the latest rules and the laws and opinions, but also knowledgeable in a whole bunch of other areas, because ultimately that is going to make the judge not only more well-rounded, but a better and more effective jurist in performing their jobs. And secondly, and no less important, is a dedication to the rule of law. You know, as a judge, you are no longer an advocate for anyone except for the law. You know, you are not for one side or for the other. The focus should be and has to be on the consistent application of the laws and the rules of our state. And that is vital to the exercise of our judicial function. You know, as I'm going to quote the United States Supreme Court here and say, doing so contributes to the actual and perceived integrity of the judicial process. And so I think that is incredibly important quality that a jurist should possess.
Judge Salvador, how important is it for individuals who aspire to become judges or successful professionals to have access to good education, internships, clerkships, and mentors? What difference can that make, and what difference has it made in your career trajectory?
Well, all of those things, of course, are very important and do make a difference in becoming a judge or in becoming a successful professional. But that's not to say, though, that if you can't achieve these goals, or that you can't achieve these goals because you might be missing one or two of these things. Certainly, as I have stated, hard work and perseverance play a role as well. But these internships, clerkships, and mentorships do provide that additional support and network, which can aid in becoming a judge or a successful professional. For me personally, I had the very good fortune, again, because of my parents' hard work and perseverance, to obtain a fine education at Duke and at the University of Florida Law School. And I had mentors throughout my life and career that assisted me in becoming the best attorney I could be, and which naturally led into becoming the best judge that I can be. And I'm still working on that. That's not a concluded project, shall we say. But all of those things in combination with hard work and perseverance are what would make a person successful, either as an attorney or as a judge.
Is mentoring younger attorneys something that you believe is important to do? And if so, why?
Oh, I do believe it's very important because it provides not only the obvious contacts and connections that you can call upon to help advance your professional career, but more importantly, networking allows you to get to know people, to get to know their backgrounds, their histories, their experiences, and that in turn, that knowledge of others in turn adds and is a benefit to you and enriching your experiences and your perspectives. And conversely, by allowing others to get to know you better, you are doing the same for them. And I don't want to sound very Pollyanna here, but it just allows us all to get along a little bit better, to be more empathetic, and to have more understanding. So networking is a tremendous asset that everyone should work hard to attain.
Well, Judge Salvador, thank you for your time today. I've enjoyed getting to hear more about your path to the bench. For those of you watching, I suspect that the circuit court bench will not be Judge Salvador's last stop in her judgeship. I suspect we'll hear of her ascension to higher courts in the years to come, and I certainly hope that you'll consider doing it, as she's done a tremendous job and has a lot of supporters and people who would love to see her continue in her judicial path. Thank you all for being here today. We hope you've enjoyed it. Judge Salvador has been tremendously generous to me in her time over the years, and I'm sure to anyone who's watching and may be interested in pursuing a judicial path, I would encourage you all to reach out to her, as she is certainly always willing to help and to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you all, and we will look forward to seeing you all soon. Bye-bye.